I've driven many AMGs over the years, from the first true Mercedes-AMG, the W202 C36, to the W210 E55, and my personal favorite, the 2003 S55, and even newer ones like the 2022 CLS53 and 2021 A35. This is the next evolution in AMG performance, from the F1 paddock to your garage. This, my friends, is the 2024 Mercedes-AMG S63 E-Performance. Well, we certainly set a new record here on Test Drive. This is the most expensive vehicle that we have ever featured. Base MSRP $205,000 Canadian, as tested with the Edition 1 package, as well as everything else on it, which we will go over. $274,725 Canadian. That includes delivery. That does not include the luxury tax. But let's talk a bit about this car. Under the hood is a handcrafted 4-liter AMG bi-turbo V8 engine. The engine alone produces 604 horsepower, 669 pound-feet of torque. Those are pretty impressive numbers nonetheless. The twin scroll turbos with low friction bearings located in the engine's hot V provide nearly lag-free boost, according to AMG. But that's not all. We have a 13.1 kilowatt-hour ultra-lightweight performance lithium-ion battery, and that is developed in close collaboration with the engineers from the Mercedes-AMG PETRONAS F1 team. That means you're getting F1 technology in your Mercedes S-Class. Now, they say that the battery weighs less than 200 pounds, which means it's not adding a ton of weight to this vehicle because it is pretty heavy. But one of the things that we've been discussing recently on Test Drive is whether or not the extra weight of the electric motors and battery packs negate any performance gains from using that hybrid system. So because this is a super lightweight battery, it shouldn't make too much of a difference in terms of the overall weight. Now, we have a 150 kilowatt rear motor. And I just want to point out, on the Mercedes website, it says 150 kilowatts, but on the press materials I was given, it says 140. So two different numbers there. But in the rear, we have that electric motor that powers the rear wheels. It can power the front wheels as well as the engine can power all 4 wheels, giving you a total of 791 horsepower, 1,055 pound-feet of torque. That's insane. But is it really that quick? We'll be determining that when we take it on the road test. This also uses a 9G-tronic multi-clutch AMG SpeedShift transmission, giving you extremely quick shifts as you're in manual shift mode. But for the most part, if you're putting it in race mode, launch control, the car takes care of all of that. It's going to be completely automatic, but you do have the options there. Now, I recently featured the W223 Mercedes-Benz S-Class, so if you want to know absolutely everything there is to know about this new generation, you can check out that video. It's in the top right. We also compared it to my own 2013 S550, that's the W221 generation, so you can check out that retrospective as well. That will also be in the top right corner. But let's talk about the front styling of this, because this is the first time that the Panamericana grille has been used on an S-Class sedan, along with the traditional hood ornament not being here. It has been replaced with the AMG emblem. This is a newer design trend on AMG vehicles to have the Falterbach badge on the hood rather than the Mercedes star. Some people like it, some people don't, but I think it's a cool touch. Although, as a purist when it comes to the S-Class, I do find that it is strange to see this car without the hood ornament and regular S-Class grille. Now, we also have the digital light headlamps. We talked about that when we featured the S580e. However, I found that these work a lot better. They use 84 high-performance LEDs to project more than 1 million pixels per unit. Using the car's cameras, navigation, and the sensors, each pixel brightness can be adapted virtually in real time, including the high beam system. In fact, we took this out last night driving along some of the rural roads here between St. Thomas and London, and I had the high beams activated with the automatic function. You can see it tracking the vehicles in front and behind. It creates a dark area around those vehicles to prevent dazzling, and I did not get flashed once. We must have passed about 100 cars with the high beams running. You can see it as you're driving along. It's adapting as it's going. Excellent stuff. It's not quite as good as it is in Europe, but I have enjoyed these headlights quite a lot, and you will too. Well, if you're going to spend $250,000 on a car, you want it to look good. This, my friends, is the manufacturer Alpine Gray paint. I like it quite a lot. Very trendy. We've seen it for a number of years now. Pretty much all the luxury brands and consumer brands have a gray like this. Chef's kiss. Let's talk about some of the packages on this vehicle. The Edition 1 package gives us the 21-inch AMG cross-spoke forged wheels. We also have the red AMG brake calipers, as well as more interior bits that you get with the Edition 1. We also have the AMG line with night package that darkens the AMG grille, as well as high gloss black exterior elements. So around the windows and things like that, all the chrome has been deleted. Now the charging port is on the driver's side of this vehicle, much like on the S580e, but it doesn't charge quite as quick. So far, I've only been able to get 3.8 kilowatts at peak charging levels on this. You can schedule it and things like that. However, I mean, this is the E-Performance version. The battery pack really isn't meant to be used in an electric mode. You can. I'm getting about 25 kilometers of electric range out of it. But the point really is to use this as a performance vehicle, leveraging that hybrid system with the battery pack to give you the utmost power that you can get out of this. There is also no DC fast charging option on this, unlike we saw with the S580e. Well, I didn't think it could get any better in an S-Class, but it does. Back here is absolutely first class, which is one of the packages that we get with this vehicle, including the Pinnacle trim and the Premium Rear Seating Plus package. Now, you could option the Executive Rear Seat package that would remove the third seat in the middle, giving you, airplane-style tray tables, but we don't have that here. That's fine. I mean, the rest of the stuff on here is already great. So what do you get with it? We have the power roller blinds, enhanced rear heated seats, including heated pillows. That's amazing. We have the MBUX rear tablet in the center armrest that allows you to control a lot of the functionality of the vehicle through there. We have the rear multi-contour seats with memory and massage, wireless phone charger, adaptive rear lighting, and the front passenger chauffeur. So what that does is, if you sit back here like I am, you've got a driver, but there's nobody in the front passenger, the car will automatically move the front seat out of the way for you. Obviously, you've got the buttons and everything here, and you can actually push the button into recline mode. It'll push that seat completely out of the way and drop down a footrest. But doing it automatically without you having to think about it, chef's kiss again. I can't get enough of it. The other thing we have back here are the seat belts. They are presented to the passengers just like you would on a coupe. So when you get into the vehicle, shut the door, the seat belt will pop forward for you to make it a little bit easier to get. Finally, the last option we have back here are the MBUX multi-seat rear entertainment systems. They are 11.6-inch screens, and they are extremely functional. Unlike we've seen on some other vehicles that there isn't much to do, I can see things like my phone, navigation, and the charge state of the vehicle. You can go into the radio and also play with some of the apps. There's some games and stuff on here. And I mean, if you bought the AMG because you like to go racing, but you don't necessarily want to be the race car driver, you can open up the track pace and AMG performance modes in the back screens here while your driver takes you around the Nürburgring. Pretty cool stuff, but it gets even better up front. But I guess it depends on what your definition of better is. If you do like being driven around, the back seat is the place to be. But if you like driving the car, which I hope you do at this price point, you're going to like what you've got up front here. We've got the heated, ventilated, massaging, memory, multi-contour front seats. Yes, it's quite a mouthful, but we've got a lot going on with these front seats. They hug you quite nicely. They are the AMG Sport seats. This is the extended leather interior as well, the black leather interior. You have a number of options for different trims, colors, and all that, so a bunch of different choices depending on what you're looking for. Now, we've got a bunch of tech on here we did not see on the S580e. First off, we have the 3D instrument gauge cluster. That is a 12.3-inch system. The 3D mode can be activated easily through the infotainment system, and it does work pretty well. Kind of like the Genesis system that we've seen before. It does make the center a little bit more three-dimensional, so it can be kind of cool. You either like it or you don't, but I do think it is a neat little trick. We have the 12.8-inch OLED infotainment system. We've talked about it at length. I mean, MBUX is a pretty solid infotainment system. It's just they've put everything into it now. So there are very few buttons, just the basics like radio controls, and even that's kind of like a haptic slider. I don't really like that too much. But you do have a number of buttons to get you into the quick menus, and then everything else is through the infotainment system. So keep that in mind if you're like me and you like buttons. Not the S-Class for you. Now, it doesn't stop there. We have the 12.3-inch augmented reality head-up display. This is the bigger head-up display unit that we could have optioned on the other S-Class. It's enormous. Now, they say that, you know, if you're driving along, it projects like a 77-inch display on the road. It'll show you the lanes. It'll show you the vehicles in front of you. It'll show you where you've got to turn. Tons of stuff there. It's really good. There's a lot of information you can put up on that HUD. I like it quite a bit. So it is one of the biggest ones that we've tested, and it is one of the most detailed head-up displays that I have seen so far. Now, one of the options on here that I am very happy was optioned is the Burmester high-end 4D surround sound audio system. That is a 30-speaker 1750 watt audio system. Mercedes-Benz says that they have used the actual frame of the vehicle to include better bass in the front. They call it the front bass. It improves the overall sound quality based on how the vehicle was designed. You've also got an independent subwoofer in the trunk. It just sounds great. Speaking of the trunk, you do lose out on a lot of storage back there because this is a plug-in hybrid, so you do lose quite a bit of space back there. And we actually picked this vehicle up after a little family vacation, so there are 3 of us in the vehicle with luggage. So 3 carry-on suitcases, 3 bags, you know, personal items. It didn't quite all fit in the back. So keep that in mind if you're in the market for this vehicle. But I think the reason why you're in the market for this vehicle is because you like the performance. So does this live up to what we expect from an AMG? Does adding a hybrid system to it, a plug-in hybrid system, improve the overall experience? Or does it take away some of the soul that made an AMG S63 so enjoyable? Let's hit the road and find out. All right, folks, let's talk a little bit about fuel efficiency, if it really matters. Again, we had 3 people in the vehicle with luggage, so it's not really a comparable number. And also the vehicle wasn't charged up when I picked it up. But I think we did about 9.6 liters per 100 kilometers. I think I used, though, more like 22 liters to come home, the less than 200 kilometers or so, roughly, to get home. To be fair, though, I did keep it in Sport Plus mode most of the time. And one thing I do like about this vehicle, even though it's not really meant to be like a true plug-in hybrid, it's just one that gives you the performance boost. If you do have the engine in, you know, running mode, so I'm always in Sport Plus, it'll actually charge up the battery. So if you're worried about running out of electricity, the vehicle's always pumping in extra power to charge up that battery. So that's always good to have. You're always going to have some sort of charge, and it really doesn't go below about a quarter of a charge. It'll always keep it around there. So the range, as I mentioned, not very good. We're just over 50% battery. That says 9 kilometers of electric range. That's not good for a plug-in hybrid, but that's not what this is meant to be. So before we take it on a couple little rips here, let's talk a little bit about the suspension on here. This is the AMG Ride Control Plus. It's not the same thing as Magic Body Control or Active Body Control like we've seen on previous vehicles in the S-Class range. This is a little bit different. I do feel it is firm, yeah, especially compared to my S-Class, and especially compared to the S580e. You do feel a lot more of the bumps. Even if you're in comfort mode or electric mode, you still do feel it, but c'est la vie. I mean, you're buying the top end, newest of the newest. I think the only other vehicle that Mercedes sells as an E-Performance is the Mercedes-AMG 1. That's like an F1 car, and very, very limited production. I think what they said, they only made 275 of them, and they're all spoken for. So ride's a little firm. That's to be expected. I'm not too upset about it, but let's see. So engine is warmed up. We are in Sport Plus mode. Let's take it from a little bit of a rolling start here. Oh yeah, oh, there we go. Oh man. Yeah, it takes a second for it to actually kind of know where it needs to go, and that's part of the downside, I guess, to having a plug-in hybrid system is, you know, you expect that to kind of alleviate the engine transmission lag. It's still there though, and that's fine. If I put it into manual mode, oh my God, the front of the car just pulls up. I mean, even in third, that's just insane. It doesn't have as much drama out of the back end though. I was expecting a lot more from the exhaust, especially compared to some of the other 63 series AMGs we've driven over the years. So I don't know if that's something that you could, you know, aftermarket, make a little bit better. It does have the sound control here, so I can turn it off if I wanted to. Yeah, you don't hear much. Turn it on. Yeah, you do hear a little bit more of it. And there's some blurbles and gurbles. Ooh, it does sound good though, but it's not quite the same as the 63s of generation past. You can really chuck it in too because it's got 4-wheel steer. Oh my God, it's just so fast. And the brakes too, I mean, whoa. These are composite brakes. Mercedes is, again, engineered for race. I take that from the Mercedes-AMG PETRONAS F1 team. They are making this car as close to an F1 vehicle with 4 doors as you could possibly hope for. But yeah, the performance is just, oh yeah, it's good. Does it feel like 791 horsepower though? I don't know. Does it feel like 1,055 pound-feet of torque? That I don't know either. I don't feel it. And I think, again, even though it is a lightweight battery and everything, just because there's so much on this car, it is a little heavier. And that's the thing. That's always why the S-Class, you know, I'm always happy that Mercedes and AMG have made a fully high-performance version, something that BMW has refused to do when it comes to the 7 Series. But it's kind of silly, right? I mean, if you want a true performance car, you really want to take it on the track and enjoy it, well, you don't want to have all these features, right? So you're not going to go for the rear entertainment and rear package and all that. So it's always been kind of silly to have an S-Class AMG because you are getting all the tech and all the features, and it is insanely quick, but it's not really like a track car. Maybe people are going to take this on the track. I don't think I would. But this, believe it or not, would be the vehicle I would buy, because I always talk about how, you know, I do a lot of in-town driving, not a lot of driving. A plug-in hybrid would be great, and even though it is a small range, only about 25 kilometers, it's kind of what I need, right? I've got the performance when I want it. I can keep it in electric mode for a little bit when I'm driving around town. It doesn't charge as quick as I would like, but still gets the job done. But don't worry, my friends, that's not it. I do want to do some more performance testing with this, so let's take a quick break, and then we'll push this S-Class just a little bit more. All right, my friends, I promised some spirited driving, some performance driving. That is exactly what we're going to be doing here now. You should have just heard some exhaust notes. I mean, is it as dramatic as the 63 series AMGs of generations past? I don't think so. I mean, there's really no audio being pumped in, which I guess is a good thing. So it's all real exhaust notes, but like there just isn't a whole lot of drama. And when it comes to something like this, when it costs this much money, when it is supposed to be the pinnacle of what AMG has to offer, I expect just a little bit more. So we are in Sport Plus mode. There is a race mode, there is a drift mode. I'm not activating those because we're not on a racetrack, I'm not on a drift track. But Sport Plus has been pretty much my de facto drive. I do have the AMG drive unit set up so that I can go into manual shift mode. The SpeedShift transmission works fine. I have no problems with it. It works well enough, but if you are doing launch control and things like that, you got to leave it in automatic mode. The computers will take care of all of that for you, and I do trust the AMG systems in this vehicle more than I trust myself. I can shift only as quick as I can, and really, you know, there's always going to be a bit of lag, but if the car is doing it for you, you're good to go. But I mean, this thing is really fast. Is it as mind-boggling as I expected it to be? I mean, 791 horsepower and 1,000 pound-feet of torque. I mean, it's pretty close, but I don't know. I mean, maybe I just expected a tiny bit more. So we'll take it up a little rip here. I'll show you exactly how quick this thing will launch, because it is pretty fast. And you'll be the judge. Let me know what you think. All right, ready to go? Oh my God. Whoa! Oh man, that's fast. That is really quick. Now, I can't activate race launch, just the conditions aren't quite right for it, and that's the kind of the bummer of when I'm filming this. But man, oh man, does that does that really pull. I mean, if you're spending this kind of money, it's because you want the ultimate performance, and that's exactly what this delivers in this generation. Is it as good as the previous generation S63? I don't know, I haven't driven it. I'd like to. If you've got one and would like to let me drive it, please let me know. And is it as good as an S65? I mean, those were legendary. Oh my God, man. Like, it is so fast. And I mean, those brakes, like, look at that. Woo! I'm not even doing full brakes. That's maybe like 50, 60%. Oh yeah, you can stop on a dime. But even in manual shift mode, I really do enjoy it. Oh, You almost forget you're driving an S-Class because this thing is heavy, it's big, it's long, but it is beautiful and it does fly. As I finish up this episode, we need to answer the question in the title, does the S63 e-Performance still have a soul? I'd say no. I like this car, I've enjoyed driving it, it turns heads. This is probably the way that I would configure it as well. Yeah, I like the look and all that, but it just doesn't feel the same as some of the other AMGs I've driven over the years. And I've driven a lot, as I mentioned. So it is the next generation of performance. It is fast, it handles beautifully. The cornering on this is unbelievable considering how big this vehicle is. The comfort, okay, you're losing a little bit of that because this is the AMG suspension, a little bit more firm even in comfort mode. So you are sacrificing a little bit of those S-Class refinements for the performance, but that's what you would expect from a $276,000 S-Class AMG. And while we have a handcrafted engine under the hood with the nameplate of the individual who put it all together, and the vehicle does perform brilliantly, I just feel that a little bit of that character, a little bit of that soul that came with these 63 series AMGs at least, it's not there. Maybe it's the exhaust, maybe it's, you know, having to plug it in, which I'm not saying is terrible, but, you know, at least with the previous generations, you just put gas in it and you went. So is this really going to be the future of the brand? Will all the upcoming vehicles from AMG include a plug-in hybrid system? What do you think about that? Obviously, we talked about it a little bit with BMW and the new M5 having that plug-in hybrid system. That seems to be the way the direction of the market is going. Does that make sense? And should these vehicles have that system in there? Let us know in the comments below. We do try to get back to absolutely everybody we can. We appreciate you watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Give it a thumbs up, share it online if you liked it. Reach out to us if you have a classic car you'd like to feature, as we're starting to fill up our 2025 calendar, celebrating 10 years of PRN Test Drive. This coming year, we'd like to do a lot of classic cars. So please reach out to us if you're in southwestern Ontario and you've got something that you think would be interesting, whether it's an older luxury car or just something that's unique, maybe a mainstream vehicle that, you know, wasn't produced a lot. As long as it's original, we'd love to feature it. So reach out to us. But until next time, we appreciate you watching and take care.